Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Phightins Final here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy Matty B once again coming at you here now on this Tuesday evening and coming at you once again after another heart-stopping, thrilling Philadelphia Philly victory tonight down there in South Florida, 3-1 this time over the Marlins. The game didn't really kind of get going the way we wanted it to be. Sandy Alcantara, who has been the bugaboo for this team for a couple years now, even though he has not had a good season, the defending NL Cy Young Award winner, he seems to conjure his best stuff all the time against the Phillies. Tonight was really no exception as he lasted 8 very strong innings, befuddling the Philly offense and causing a lot of issues for us, but yet the Phillies hung around and they got their situation in the ninth inning where they were down, or it was tied in the ninth, 1-1. And then Nick Castellanos, his 8 for 68 second half self, comes through in a big way, a crushing 2-run home run to put the Phillies up 3-1. And that is how they would finish the game tonight. And on the trade deadline day, eve, whatever you want to call it, where the Phillies did make some moves. The Phillies find themselves 3-1 winners and a critical now are up 2-0 in this critical 4-game set against the team that's chasing them both in the NL East and in the NL wild card standings. And how you feeling out there, Phillies Nation? We're going to get to the game, but we're also going to, of course, talk about the trade deadline moves that the Phillies made today and a couple other moves that were made by teams today. So let's get right into this thing. Daniel hits me up with, yo, Daniel, what's up, man? Steven, welcome back. Casty and Sir Anthony, two sites for sore eyes, let us hope. Yeah, listen, 8 for 68, Nick Castellanos was before that home run. Now, that 8 for 68 dates back to the beginning of the second half of the season, not the official or unofficial second half, but the official second half when we hit that 82 game plateau. And obviously seeing him stroke that home run there was huge. The guy that's been really consistent and a bright spot offensively for this team that kind of was struggling for a while, to see him come up big in a big way tonight offensively for the Phillies is definitely great. And then Sir Anthony, of course, has just not, has been dealing with injuries over the last 2 seasons and just can't seem to catch a break himself. He came in and pitched really well at the end of the game to kind of keep the Phillies in that 1-1 tie. So absolutely 2 key figures of the Phillies going into the future that came up big for the team today in the win 3-1 tonight in Miami. Mark says, with 54 games to go, I believe tied for the wild card lead, we need to get and stay hot. Mark, that has been the bugaboo all year, trying to stay hot, trying to get some consistency. And this is the way it's been kind of going. You get a series like you get the Pirates, and then you come out and you have a series like you're having right now against Miami. There's no rhyme or reason for this team. There's no I can't put my finger on it. I've been trying for years, especially over the last 2 seasons, to put my finger on who this team is. I'm still looking for that answer. If anybody out there can tell me whose name is not Al, who this team is. Tonight, they're showing a side of this team that they've shown kind of frequently this year, but then they've shown the other side of their team more frequently. But I don't know. Is this part of what makes baseball fun? Is this part about what makes the baseball season enjoyable for 162 games? Because you have these types of ebb and flows, but this team is flowing more than they are ebbing. And I need more of the other way around, because we're getting into that point. But, 54 games, as you mentioned, to go, Mark, there's no more room for error. They need to kind of figure it out. And tonight and last night goes a long way in figuring all that out for the Phillies. So let's hope this is definitely the signs of things to come. For all the criticism, good coaching tonight, pinch runner for Schwarber. It was good. It was a great decision to pinch run Jake Cave there for Schwarber late in the game. Absolutely. I'm going to leave my reviews of Rob Thompson for a later date, but tonight was good. Last night was good. There's been a lot of good this season, but there's been too much inconsistencies for me to say all is forgiven. And I know you're not saying all is forgiven, David, but You pinch ran for Kyle Schwarber in a situation that called for it. I mean, I don't know. Major league manager should actually be able to figure that out pretty easily. So we'll go with that. And then Steven hitting up with Lorenzen isn't special, but his whip is solid. Gives us an extra needed depth option. Dependability and consistency is something this team does lack, and gives us some more of that. It does, and we're going to get into. Of course, he's mentioning, uh, the trade today of Michael Lorenzen, now a Philly, as he was acquired from the Tigers in exchange for the Phillies' fifth rated prospect, an infielder. And we're going to get into that trade here in a minute. We're going to talk trade deadline stuff here in a minute, Steven. So, uh, you know, I want to leave. Let's leave that alone for a couple minutes. So we'll go there. What happened before Schwarber's at bat? Did someone run on the field? I don't know. Did someone run on the field? I know what you're talking about, but I was kind of watching half of that moment there. I don't know if anybody can help David out with that. I'd like to know what happened there as well. So if anybody can help David out with that, that'd be great. Mark says, I'm kind of concerned about Turner. I just hope steps up in the playoffs. Mark, here's the thing about Trey Turner. Over the last couple seasons, he's been absent in the playoffs. He's had really good seasons and not a good playoff. Obviously this has not been a good season. Maybe he reverses that and has a good playoff this year. I don't know. You got to keep letting him battle out of this. I think he will. I'm not sure it's going to be in 2023 or 2024, but I think he will battle out of it. I said this on the show last night. I think you need to move Trey Turner back in that leadoff spot. I definitely think you need to get him in there. So, um, but Trey Turner has actually been a kind of a ghost in the playoffs the last couple seasons and really consistent during the season. So maybe that's what he's done this year. Maybe it's going to be switching that up, and then that would actually work out really well. But let's get into this game here, guys. As I mentioned, the Phillies 3-1 winners. Nick Castellanos with the hit of the night for the Phillies as he jacked that home run in the bottom of the ninth. But for the Phillies on the day, 3 runs on 6 hits. The Marlins 1 run on 11 hits. Greg Soto will get the win tonight for the Phillies in relief. David Robertson, who blows the save, or I don't know if it was a save situation. And 1-1, it wasn't, but he blows it for them. The newest Marlin blows the game for the Marlins with the loss, and Sir Anthony with the save. How the scoring went down in Miami, it was pretty fast and furious. In the third, Garcia would knock in Ariza and making it 1-0 Marlins, and then and the Phillies would get on the board in the ninth, in that vaunted ninth inning, trailing 1-0. Bryce Harper, no one's talking about the clutch hit there. As you mentioned, the Kyle Schwarber pinch runner for Jake Cave coming in, pinch running for Kyle Schwarber, and then Bryce Harper would double him in to tie it up at 1, and then Nick Castellanos would follow that up with a 2-run shot, a 3-run Phillies lead, a 3-run ninth inning. Phillies would then hold on for the win, beating the Marlins and Alcantara. Ranger Suarez got the start for the Phillies. He went 6 1/3, 10 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Marte, as I mentioned, Greg Soto, who gets the win, and Sir Anthony as well pitched for the Phillies. For the Marlins, Sandy Alcantara, 8 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. And then he gave way to David Robertson, who choked it up there in the ninth inning. The newest Marlin, and the Phillies beat the Marlins 3-1 tonight. In a game that was full of frustrations again, as the Phillies could not get anything going. They were 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position tonight. They only left 3 runners on base because they really couldn't get any kind of offense going on. Harper and Castellanos grounded into double plays. Just not what you would call it was not an offensive type game. It was very much so a pitching battle between 2 very good pitchers tonight, as Ranger Suarez, and we talked about this on the show last night as well. He's going to have to be Ranger and more for the Phillies going down the stretch. They're going to definitely need him. Now, I know the addition of Lorenzen might help that rotation out, but Ranger definitely pitched his butt off tonight for the Phillies, trying to keep them in this thing. And we're going to need him to continue to do that. Walter hits up with great pitching by David. Yeah, it's good to see David Robertson, choking it up there for the Marlins. As he's turned into that late season trade piece over the last couple seasons. Of course, we all know he was here last year, pitched pretty well for us out of the bullpen. I got to give him credit, but yeah, good for David. David, what is it? What you got there, Walter? David Bloberston? All right, that worked for me. Of course, also, you guys, Gene Segura got traded today. That's right, man. Gene Segura, right before the game, gets traded to the Cleveland Guardians. Josh Bell heading to Miami. Now, that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on, too. The home run hitting first baseman is on his way now to the Marlins, but Gene Segura got traded along with a prospect. Um, and then Segura was promptly cut by the Guardians today. So Gene Segura is a free agent. You know, we didn't address the power bat situation in at the trade deadline. We didn't. I'm not saying Gene Segura is a power bat, but he is definitely a defensive and offensive option coming off the bench. Why the hell not? Bring him back for the stretch run of this season. He was invaluable last year in the playoffs for us. If you guys recall game one against the Cardinals, I mean, it was him who got it all going in the ninth inning, and he came up huge throughout the playoffs, and he actually came out huge throughout the season for the Phillies last year. Bring him back here for the cheap, and let's get Segura back in this thing because I would definitely welcome him back with open arms for the stretch run down this thing. So Gene Segura is out there. Dave Dombrowski, if you're listening, if you can hear the sound of my voice, bring Gene Segura back for the cheap and add him to the bench. And we'll get to all the Phillies moves as well here, but Gene Segura traded and then released the same day. Mark says, I hope so. That said, if the Phillies get hot and go on a run, they're going to be tough to beat. They will be tough to beat, but if they can get on that run. Mark also says, Bryce is Mr. Clutch. Yeah, he's starting to really get heat up, isn't he? Obviously, the power's not there, but, how can I mean, it was huge tonight. Huge, 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 huge. Stats relay was very Manny. Now we're comparing him to Manny Trio. I mean, come on, Steven. It's a Chase Utley, man. Who else are we going to compare him to? I mean, but it was a good move. Listen, Bryson Stott is definitely aging very well. He is maturing right in front of our eyes. He is going to be that fixture second baseman for this organization for at least the next 10 years. I'll give you that. And it was a really good move. I agree. He's a very good defensive player. He's always been a good defensive player, and his offense, of course, is now starting to catch up to that. So he is rounding into a great player. Walter saying Gene got released. Let's get him. I agree, Walter. Let's get him. Mark says Segura would be he'd be a great bench player. He'd be the best bench player we'd have right now. See, now we cut Josh Harrison. You got DFA today, but bring Segura back. Bring him back. I would take him back in a heartbeat. Come on now. Walter says you got in before me. I would take him back in a minute, man. And David said Segura got traded and then DFA'd. Yes, he did. So he is a free agent out there right now, floating around. We need him. Let's bring him here. So the Phillies with the 3-1 victory. As mentioned, today was the trade deadline. We're talking about Gene Segura. Let's get into some of the Phillies. The Phillies were active today. Made two separate moves. Michael Lorenzen, the right-handed pitcher from the Detroit Tigers, is now a Philly as he was traded to the Phillies as I mentioned, in return for our fifth-ranked prospect. I can't pronounce his name. You guys know who I'm talking about. He is now a Tiger, and Lorenzen, who is on a expiring contract, so he is just a rental. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year. Will now join the rotation, and obviously a depth move there. Another option at a 5 spot. He rates a little bit higher than a fifth starter. This season, he's got a 2.0 WAR. He's 5-7 with a 3.5 ERA. He has started 18 games for the Tigers in 105 innings pitched, 83 strikeouts, and his WHIP is 1.098. Listen, this is and a guy that was playing for a really bad Tiger team. I'll take him. I will definitely take him. He'll strengthen that back into that rotation. He's going to be that piece. Maybe he's that fifth starter. But I reminiscent to what Al said. what exactly is a fifth starter going to do for us in the playoffs? I mean, he's a bullpen piece at this point. So I changed my opinion on that. I was all in for a fifth starter about a month ago, but I really needed to see. I wanted to see something more offensively done. A right-handed power bat. The Phillies did address some offense. Was not a power bat. The Phillies they made a separate move, acquiring Ronaldo Castro, the utility guy from the Pirates, in exchange for Mr. Bailey Falter. Say it ain't so. Hearts are breaking around the Delaware Valley tonight. Bailey Falter is no more Philly as he's on his way to Pittsburgh. Um, it's it's amazing. It's amazing that we were talking about a guy about what 4 months ago about being, the next great thing, or he's the part of the rotation of tomorrow, or the rotation of the future, and now he's on his way to Pittsburgh. So Bailey Falter gone. Gone, gone, gone as we pick up Ronaldo Castro. There's a couple good things here. Of course, you guys know who Ronaldo Castro is. He's the cell phone in the back pocket guy. I think it was last year in Arizona as he's sliding in the third. His phone dropped out of his pocket. That's him, yes. He's a utility guy. He's a young player. So far this season, he's got a 0.1 WAR, 197 at bats, 45 hits, 6 home runs, batting 228, 22 RBIs, and a stolen bases. His OPS is 672. The interesting thing about Rodolfo is that he is under team control throughout the year 2028. So he is going to be either a part of our team or our organization farm system for the next few years to come. So you can, for all you Bailey Falter supporters out there, and I was one, I liked what Bailey provided for us over the last season, but obviously, an upgrade there at the utility spot. Josh Harrison was also DFA'd by the Phillies today. Really didn't move the needle at all for me this season. But that was it. The trade deadline has come and gone, and the Phillies did not address the right-handed power bat. So this is not is this a sign that, Dave Dombrowski's happy for what he's got? Or is this a sign of maybe they didn't want to part with some major pieces, or some other teams that want to play ball? I don't know, but we did not get that right-handed power bat. I'm wondering what you guys think of that. Is that something that concerns you? Is that we're going to go forward with what we got? Or is that something that is, was going this way with a utility player that may or may not even be with this team, potentially being Lehigh Valley? Or was, where do you guys stand on this? A back of rotation piece in Lorenzen, and a bench player, utility guy in Castro, who is under team control for the next 6 years. Is that what we were looking to do here? Does that strengthen this team at all for the stretch run going down here? I don't think it really does. Lorenzen might provide some stability in the rotation, but we've seen this kind of over and over again. The rotation's kind of rounded out, and Al said it. We're only going to go 4 in the playoffs anyway. So why not go offense here? And I don't know. What do you guys think about it? The Phillies missed the mark at the trade deadline? I'm going to say they did, man. I really do. I'm going to say what they did. What do you think of Stott? I know it's too soon, but I'm calling it now. Stott. Yeah. See, again, Mark, come on, man. You, Steven, all the others out there. Why can't Bryson Stott be the future Bryson Stott? Let's stay away from the comparisons of Chase Utley and Manny Trio. All right, I don't want to hear that. Let Bryson Stott be Bryson. I definitely think he is the next best thing. He's going to be the second baseman of this organization going forward for many years. But let's not compare him to Chase Utley. God knows let's not compare him to Chase Utley. All right, or Manny Trio. Let's compare him to Bryson Stott. Let him be his self. All right. So, but I do like them. They said that they will start 6 for 2 weeks. Yeah. Again, I get what the relief is going to be there, Walter, with adding Lorenzen. So I guess now Sanchez will be the 5th, or Lorenzen will be the 5th, Sanchez the 6th. I get that, but is that really what this team needed heading into the stretch run? I don't know. David says, I predicted a down year for Stott after he did nothing but good goof off in spring training. I thought Sosa would take over for him. Oops, no, absolutely. Stott has definitely had a great year. He is the future of this team. 228 BA, 6 homers. Yep. I wish they got a corner outfitter with speed to replace Schwarber and make Kyle a DH. Mark, I'm looking for a power bat first base type man. That was what I was looking for. I was looking for that. David said, I'd like to see Corey get called up as a utility infielder. Yeah. Is they talking about Corey Clement? Is that what we're talking about? No, who's Corey? Who's Corey? Steven says, never know if someone is going to get hurt, can never have enough arms. I agree. Listen, Steven, I'm not telling you that it's not a bad move, but I'm just kind of, it's interesting the thought process here. Did Dave Dombrowski really think that power-wise and offensively, this team is a full product? Is this what we're gonna really expect? Is he actually happy with the offensive performance of this team so far this year? All their numbers are down based off last season. Their power numbers are way down. I'll tell you right now, Steven, as a team, the Phillies have only hit where is it? They've only hit 114 home runs. All right, that's averaging about a little over one a game. That is not the numbers that we were talking about. When we first brought Schwarber and Castellanos here to pair up with Harper and Real Muto. That wasn't what we were gunning for, averaging a home run a game. That's not what we were looking for, right? So I get you. Pitching does win championships. I definitely agree with that. But offensively, this team doesn't do it for me, man. They don't do nothing for me. So I would like to have seen something more from them. Ella says I like Bryson. Yeah, I like him too. I'm also liking Rojas. Yeah, Rojas as well. Yeah, he definitely has a lot of potential. I do like the fact that you got Brandon Marsh out there and left, and you put Rojas in center. I like that. I like that a lot. Absolutely like that a lot. Excuse me, Philly. Walter says Phillies did not strike out a lot tonight. No, they did not, Walter. Matter of fact, they only struck out, I want to say, 6 times tonight. 6 times. That's not helping out their season average, though. They've struck out 975 times as a team, which is over 9 a game. But it was definitely nice to see them not strike out 12 times tonight. I agree. David says, "Will Hoskins play this season?" Apparently, he's had a schedule. He might play this season, but I'm not willing to deal with his with his cold streak in October. I don't need that. I need I need a Rhys Hoskins that can come in and get past that mind number. Don't forget, he goes into like a 4-month slump every season before he comes out of it. We don't have that kind of time. And a matter of fact, David, I don't know if you know me at all or listen to this show when I've hosted it. I am not the biggest Rhys Hoskins fan in the world. I'm glad he's gone. I'm not glad he got hurt, but I'm glad he's gone. I don't like him at all. I think he's a defensive liability, and I don't want him back. I really hope that 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 he's not back. Be honest with you, because if we're relying on him, then maybe things are a lot. It's funny how it's Rhys Hoskins is the glue and the heart and the soul of this team. That's not what we were saying last year when he's booting balls all over the infield trying to play first base, and he's 0 for his last 300 at bat with 17,000 strikeouts. No one was talking about the glue then. Was it because his old lady bought everybody beer that night? Is that why we're all friendly with him again? Listen, to me, yeah, thank you for all your service with the Phillies, Rhys, but it's time for you to move on and go somewhere else. I'm just not a big fan. And be honest with you, I think the team is better without him. So that is my stance on Rhys Hoskins. And then Mark says he might be ready for the playoffs. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see that. We'll see. But let's take a look around Major League Baseball tonight at other action that's ongoing right now. Currently, in the bottom of the 10th, the Mets, who are now minus Justin Verlander. That's right. Justin Verlander, for all you Mets or Verlander fans, is now on his way back to Houston less than 1 year after the Mets signed him. What a dumpster fire the New York Mets are. Hallelujah. Thank God. So the Mets they got rid of Scherzer and Verlander over the last 2 weeks. Officially, the white flag of surrender has been raised in Queens. Thank you, Jesus. Anyway, the Mets and the Royals are tied at 6 in the bottom of the 10th. In the top of the 9th, San Diego 6-4 over the Rockies. Top of the 6th, Red Sox 6-3 over the Mariners. Bottom of the 6th, Diamondbacks up 3-0 over the Giants. Bottom of the 4th, it is the A's and Dodgers scoreless. Games that have gone final. Brewers over the Nationals 6-4. Rays over the Yankees 5-2. Pirates over the Tigers 4-1. The Orioles all over the Blue Jays 13-3. Braves 5-1 winners over the Angels. The Twins 3-2 winners over the Cardinals. Rangers 2-0 over the White Sox. The Cubs 20-9 over the Reds. And the Astros over the Cardinals 2-0. That is your action on this Tuesday evening in around Major League Baseball. And don't forget, tomorrow, South Florida. This 4-game set will continue. Phillies, Marlins, another 6:40 start. Zach Wheeler getting the nod and he'll be opposed by Braxton Garrett. Again, 6:40 tomorrow out there in South Beach. Looking around the standings, the Phillies tonight are still kind of on the outside looking in of the National League East. They are now 11 games out, 58 and 49, 11 games off the pace of the Atlanta Braves. But they're putting some distance between them and the Marlins as they have now pulled ahead of the Marlins by a game and a half in the divisional standings. But of course, the main standings everyone's looking at is that National League wild card, and that thing is about as clear as mud right now, as the Giants and the Phillies and the Brewers and the Diamondbacks and the Marlins and the Cubs, and to a certain extent the Padres. And really, if you want to get really technical about it, the Mets, they're only 6.5 out, are all kind of playing for that right now. But if you want to hash it out down to the milligram, the basically the Giants and the Phillies are tied for that number one wild card, with the Brewers at number two, and the Diamondbacks at number three, with the Marlins about a game or half a game behind them. It's just really tight. It's going to be that way pretty much down the stretch as we get this thing going deeper and deeper into 2023. And yeah. And David says you could say the same thing for Schwarber. I don't. We got to refresh my memory. What are we talking about? About the liability aspect of it? Because you're absolutely right. I hate Schwarber too. I wish they would have traded his ass this week. I'm not a big Schwarber fan either. I can't stomach a guy batting 183 at the top of my lineup, David. Come on, man. You got to know who I am, brother. You're absolutely right. I don't want Schwarber here either. So yeah, if that's what you're referring to, I agree with you 100%. Defensive liability, yes, but the other tangible is that he could wreck a game at any time for our opponent, and the leadership in the clubhouse, I think, is overlooked. Mark, I'm not inside the Phillies clubhouse. Neither are you. And I'm not saying that he's not a leader in there. I'm not. I really am not. And I know that there's been some talk over the years about Bryce Harper not being necessarily the most vocal guy. So maybe it is Reese in that locker, in that clubhouse. But I've been burned too many times by his defensive ineffectiveness. It's not reliability. It's ineffectiveness. He doesn't need to be playing first base. He's too streaky of a hitter for me. He's just not. He's just not my kind of guy. I think this team is better off without him. I do, on the field. Now, again, I'm not talking about inside the clubhouse. If he's the motivator, the cheerleader, the rah rah kind of guy, great. But when he goes on the field, he obviously doesn't back up what he says, because he's too inconsistent at the dish, and he's too much of a liability in the field for my taste. And that's just me, you know. That's just me. Old Matty B. Yeah. We are now tied for the first. Yes, we are, Mark, as I just went over that. You're absolutely right. If Schwartz wasn't here, Hopkins might be more palatable and justifiable as a DH. Ifs and buts. Yeah, I'd give you that, Steven. That's a good point. That's actually a point I've never even thought about, man. If we didn't have Schwarber or Hoskins here. Obviously, we can get into that dynamic of bringing in Schwarber and what that was going to do. And obviously then you factor in the Harper injury. That whole DH thing has been kind of up in the air since then. You're absolutely right, though. What if we didn't have Schwarber? We have Hoskins playing DH. You're absolutely, Steven. Absolutely. Schwarber is new Hoskins. Yeah, and I want them both gone. Mark says his biggest concern is the Braves in the playoff series. That was my biggest concern last year too, and you saw how that worked out, right? I think we just got to worry about when we get into the playoffs. I'm not necessarily going to waste my time thinking about who it might be against or when we're going to play them. Let's just get there. And then it was, as we've seen for ourselves last year, all bets are off when you punch your ticket. So the Braves are definitely a formidable opponent. They're a great team. I just want to get there, and we'll go from there. So, but keep them coming in, though, man. Yeah. Close up. All right. Let's go and pay some bills here at the Edge of Philly Sports. Of course, we got you covered no matter what is going on, or if it's Phillies, if it's Eagles, if you want to talk soccer, if you want to talk lacrosse, we got it here on the network. Today was some attacking third. And then me, of course, doing the final tomorrow. Party on Broad, Philly Press Box Radio, the Edge of Philly Sports Live, EOP Live, which is the flagship show of the network. And then later on tomorrow night after the Phillies game, they'll be back at you. It won't be me tomorrow, but they'll be back at you with the Phightins final. And then here's everything else for the week on the network. If you cannot find it here on EOP, then it doesn't exist. It really doesn't. And I don't know what to tell you. It does not exist. So it's here. You got to look. So make sure you're looking around on the Edge of Philly Sports, everything. And then once you're done looking around on the network for what you're looking to read and watch, take your phone, head on down 24 East Sellers Ave in Ridley Park, pull up a chair and a table at Dolan's, and then catch up on your favorite EOP shows and read up on your favorite EOP articles. And while you're doing that, remember that Dolan's offers Quizzo, music and great times, and memorabilia giveaways, and you don't know who may walk through the front door at any time at Dolan's down there in Ridley Park. Philly Sports Trips, if you want to travel like the pros, you need to go to phillysportstrips.com. Starting with obviously, they got you covered for the Eagles. They got you covered next year for the Phillies trip to London when they will face the Mets next June. And then they got you covered here in about a month when the Phillies will head out to San Diego to battle the Pirates. They're going out there as well. Head over to phillysportstrips.com for everything that they have to offer. Tell them that we sent you over here at EOP. And then for workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law, Dave Cherry, 610-565-0300 is the man you got to give a call to. Take care of you. Looking for those great, hard to find sports, concert, and theater tickets. Look no further than Sherry's Ticket Town at www.sherrystickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. Great prices, no hidden fees. Save an additional 10% when you enter the promo code EOP10. Head over to Sherry's Tickets. What you waiting on? What you waiting on, man? So we're going to wrap things up here on this show tonight. David says the O's are a team to watch out for. They are, but the Phillies just took 2 out of 3 from the O's. And I'm not going to worry about the damn O's, man. We got to see them to the World Series. So let them toil around in the American League East. And that's a hell of a division to try to get out of. There you go. But we'll see. We'll see what the O's provide later on. Hopefully we see the O's later on down the line around Halloween-ish. But for now, great night. 3-1 victory. Phillies are now improved on the season to 58-49 as they are hovering around that 10-game over 500 mark. Mentioned yesterday, capped off a 14-11 July. We started the month of August 1-0, 15-11 now in the second half of the season as we are now 107 games into the 2023 season. We'll go to Matty B's stat sheet real quick. Definitely want to tune in on a couple of things. The runners in scoring position average for the season now, the Phillies are 228 for 875. That is actually a 260 batting average, and that is one of the better numbers that this team has had. So there's been some improvement over the last week and a half with runners in scoring position. There has been. You got to look back at the numbers. It's pretty impressive. I like it. Keep it going. As for the hits, the Phillies have now, with their 6 hits tonight, have now hit 939 hits in 2023, closing in on that 1,000 mark. They're averaging about 9 a game. Their opponents, though, are hitting have 952 hits, and that's also over 9 a game. So just wanted to kind of key on a couple of those stats and let you know where my mind goes every single night when I look at this baseball team. But that runners in scoring position number definitely getting better as we move through the season. This is, I think, one of the highest numbers it's been, and it's good to see that. Thank you, sir, for the talk show. Anytime, Mark. I'm here for you. And don't forget, starting tomorrow or every night, we got you covered here on the Phightins Final. Pat potentially will be back here tomorrow night. I'll be back later on in the week with you. But until we talk again, go Phils, and you know what I need, Harry the K. Gotta feed me, man.